Hi, I'm Jennifer and I'm half English and I'm half Thai. So my mother's Thai, my father's English, and I have dual nationality, so I have a British passport and a Thai passport, which is great because, I don't have to bother with the visas and stuff like that. So, what was it like growing up? Hapa, well, for me, the area I grew up in, it was like, all the children were blonde and blue-eyed, and I just wanted to be blonde and blue-eyed, but I wasn't. When I was a child, I looked really Chinese. I looked like a Chinese child. I could have been a full-blood Chinese child because I looked so Chinese. And I've kind of lost that growing up. I don't look like that anymore, but when I was a child, I did. I just wanted to be blonde. And that lasted until I was about, 6 or 7 or so. Anyway, and I went to an international type of school where people were from so many different countries and cultures that I wasn't really that fixated on being half Asian. Although for me, I always kind of thought that features-wise, my Asian features were the more dominant. Even now, I'm surprised when people say that I look Western because my colouring is so not Western. It's not Western. You don't see Western people with this kind of colouring. I've always felt that my Asian features are more dominant. I mean, for Western standard, definitely. However, even when I'm, say, in Thailand, when I'm just on the street, I could be mistaken for a foreigner. But I find in Thailand, especially once they know that I'm half, like I'm half Thai, there's a lot of interest. I think it's just, I don't know what it is, but in Thailand there's a lot of interest in like the half Thai features and stuff, which is nice in a way. In Europe there is an interest, but it's not as strong as the interest that I get in Thailand. That's kind of funny. Also, what's funny is when I meet parents who are going to have a hapa child, who are expecting a child, they get very, very interested when they realize that I'm half Asian and half Western, because they're like, "Ooh, is my son or daughter going to look like that or look like you?" And I find they become very fascinated, and it's almost like they start studying the way I look and the way I behave and stuff. And I think that kind of sums up what it's like being hapa, because say I was completely British, you wouldn't get like a British parent to be like being like, "Oh, you're British, just like me. Oh, I wonder what my child's going to look like. Is it going to look like you?" You see what I mean? And I think that just shows that although there's more of us these days, like more half people, it's still not like your standard everyday thing. So I think it's funny because sometimes I notice like Asian people don't realize to what extent hapas can relate to them. So if you have any hapa friends, rest assured that they can understand your mannerisms, your culture, possibly even your language, or what's expected of you, cultural values. They can understand that a lot more than you actually realize. So I find that's quite funny because people often forget that. And of course we have, like me, I have two cultures. I have a British family, so I have extended family members who are British, and then I have my other extended family who's Thai. So I have two very different cultures, two very different families. I have to relate to both of them, have to understand both of them. So of course I can relate to people of both of those cultures. So I don't know, I find makeup wise it's funny because you can really play up or play down either side. So for me, say if I curl my hair, or if I dye my hair, or if I wear coloured contacts, I can look a lot more Western. Also in the style of dressing. Or I can decide to look a lot more Asian, and I just, leave my hair straight, don't dye it, or put it up and wear glasses, and ta-da, I look a lot more Asian. So it's fun in that way, and I think being a hapa is a bit like that, because you're a bit like a chameleon. You have two cultures that you know very well, and which you can kind of blend into and blend out of, as you want, really, or as the circumstance kind of requires. And yeah, it just makes life more interesting. I think that's maybe the simplest way of putting it. But for example, me, I've always liked acting because, you know, you can become a different character. Your character has a different life than you, and you bring it to life and all that. And being a hapa is a little bit like that, because you have these two cultures, and you know, you can play them up and play them down. In a certain situation, for example, I might suddenly, like a very Asian mannerism might come out in me, and then literally 2 minutes later, like a very Western mannerism will come out in me. And I think that's like the joy of being a hapa, like you have these two cultures. Yeah, so I don't know, I think it makes life more interesting, to put it very plainly. And of course people always ask you, like, where are you from? They've asked, I mean, I've been asked this question like a million times, even now to this very day. But yeah, why wouldn't people ask? It kind of shows that people can't really place where you're from, and then there's always this interest in, like, oh, you know, if I'm in Europe, it'll be like, oh, you're half Asian, oh, you have Thai, and then, I don't know, people are always interested in that, and if I was just British, I wouldn't get that. So, as I said, life does become more interesting if you are hapa. So anyway, yeah, I look forward to making more videos for this channel, and till next time.